Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, Sam Altman moves the goalposts for superintelligence to 2028. Google creates a physics-defying ocean, and Elon Musk is accidentally becoming the government of Zimbabwe.
Yeah, it is a completely insane news day.
We have a massive stack to get through.
Yeah.
But we have to start with the timeline, right? Because for the last year or so, everyone in Silicon Valley has been arguing about AGI.
Artificial general intelligence.
Right, and when it's finally going to show up. But one update from the India AI Impact Summit has just completely shifted the window. And frankly, it makes the whole AGI debate look a little quaint.
It really does. I mean, we aren't talking about human-level intelligence anymore. We're talking about what comes after. And the timeline just got uncomfortably short.
Yeah, so this news comes from a viral clip circulating via the handle at AI Safety Memes. It's Sam Altman on stage looking incredibly comfortable, and he's effectively predicting that we will have ASI by 2028.
We need to, let's pause right there and calibrate on that acronym because the distinction is vital for everyone listening. AGI is the holy grail we've been chasing, right? Software that can do any intellectual task a median human can do. Write a poem, code a website, whatever.
Yeah.
But ASI, artificial superintelligence, that is the concept of a system that is fundamentally qualitatively smarter than the smartest human who has ever lived.
So we're talking about something that makes, Einstein or von Neumann look like toddlers running at the speed of light.
Precisely. And Altman isn't just saying it'll exist in a lab somewhere. He was specific. He said this superintelligence could do a better job being CEO of a major company or doing research better than our best scientists. And he put a timestamp on it, which is...
2028.
Exactly, 2028. That is roughly 700 days from now.
Man, that quote about the CEO is what stuck with me. Usually when we talk about automation, we talk about blue-collar jobs, truck drivers, or maybe entry-level coding. But Altman is aiming right at the C-suite. If the machine can run the company better than the human, what exactly is the role of the human?
Well, that's the existential question, isn't it? And it clashes violently with the other big narrative dropping this week. We have Naval Ravikant at Naval releasing his new podcast, A Motorcycle for the Mind, and he's pushing this concept of vibe coding.
Vibe coding. I mean, it sounds like something you do at a music festival, but he means it quite literally as a new career path.
He does, yeah. His argument is that the era of syntax, memorizing Python libraries, worrying about semicolons, memory management, that's all over. He believes product management and engineering are merging. You use natural language, your vibes, your intent to tell the AI what to build, and it just handles the implementation.
So the barrier to entry drops to zero. If you can speak English, you can build software. Naval's quote is essentially, just do it, learn to vibe code. It's a very optimistic, empowering message. It suggests that creativity is the only bottleneck left.
It is optimistic, but look, I want you to look at it alongside Altman's prediction, because this is where I get skeptical. At FraserX posted a rebuttal to this that I think is crucial. He compares the AI race to nuclear proliferation. It's an unstoppable force because of the geopolitical stakes. But ask yourself, if Altman is right, and we have a superintelligence in 2028 that is a better researcher and CEO than a human, is vibe coding a career? Or is it a hobby?
You're saying vibe coding might just be a bridge to nowhere.
I'm saying it might be a coping mechanism. We are telling an entire generation, hey, don't worry that you don't know how computers work, just command the AI. But if the AI becomes smarter than you, why would it need your commands? We might be training people to be AI operators for a machine that will very quickly outgrow the need for an operator.
Wow, that's a heavy realization. We're celebrating a tool that empowers us while simultaneously building the thing that replaces us.
Yeah.
At FraserX called it iterative deployment, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to keep releasing these models to test them, but the velocity is getting really uncomfortable.
And remember, the cost of intelligence is trending toward zero. When intelligence is free, the value of human labor, even creative labor like product management, has to be reassessed. If the machine can iterate on the product better than you can, vibes might not be enough to pay the rent.
Right. Well, speaking of reassessing value and power structures, let's pivot from the digital intelligence race to the physical infrastructure race. Because while Altman is predicting the future, Elon Musk is rewiring the present in a way that I don't think people fully grasp yet.
Oh, this is the story out of Zimbabwe, right? This is fascinating.
Yeah, the numbers are staggering. At Doge posted the update. Starlink now provides 80% of Zimbabwe's international internet bandwidth.
Let that number sink in. 80%. That isn't a market share, that is dominance.
And this didn't happen over a decade. This happened in 1 year. They have over 50,000 active terminals. The Zimbabwean government is actually distributing 8,000 units to schools They've essentially outsourced their national connectivity strategy to a private U.S. company.
This is a textbook case study in efficiency versus sovereignty. For decades, the narrative in developing nations has been the digital divide. Local ISPs were slow, government telecom monopolies were corrupt or inefficient, and laying fiber optic cable is just incredibly expensive.
Then Starlink shows up with a dish you can plug in anywhere, and it just works.
Right. It works because of the physics of low Earth orbit. But look at the geopolitical implication here. Zimbabwe is a sovereign nation, but 80% of the information flowing in and out of that country is passing through infrastructure owned by Elon Musk. That isn't just a monopoly, it's a new layer of government. If Starlink decides to turn off the tap, the country goes dark.
It sounds like digital colonization, but I guess the counter-argument is that the local providers had 30 years to fix this and didn't. Starlink solved it in 12 months. It's really hard to argue with results.
Yeah, that's the competence crisis we talk about so often on the show. The old institutions are failing, and the new tech-backed entities are just working. Look at the other side of the equation. At SpaceX, they just posted about another Falcon 9 launch. They are up to 300 reflights.
It's routine. It barely makes the news anymore.
It's boring, and that's the point. Boring is good in rocketry. Now compare that boring efficiency to the update from at NASA in our stack, Host 1. They are currently celebrating a tanking test for the Artemis II mission.
Yeah, I saw that. They successfully loaded liquid hydrogen and oxygen into the rocket.
They successfully put gas in the car. That's the milestone. This is for the SLS rocket, a program that is years behind schedule and billions over budget. You have SpaceX effectively owning the internet of the global south and reusing rockets like rental cars, while the premier government space agency is issuing press releases about fueling drills.
It really highlights why the Zimbabwe shift happened. The friction of the old world infrastructure just can't compete with the velocity of the new world tech stack.
Speed is the new currency. If you are slow, you are obsolete. And that applies to coding, to rockets, and apparently to entire national economies.
Well, speaking of speed, let's go back to the code wars. Because if you thought Google was out of the fight, you need to look at what dropped yesterday. The model wars are definitely heating up again.
Google is clearly tired of the Gemini is boring narrative. They are swinging for the fences now.
Yeah, we have reports from @Amstorm and @OnGaiz_ about the release of Gemini 3.1 Pro. Now, usually a 0.1 release is a bug fix, maybe slightly faster, but this looks different.
The version numbering is definitely sandbagging. The leap in capability here is substantial, specifically in visual reasoning.
I want to focus on one specific example that Aditi just shared. He's a partner at Menlo Ventures, so he sees everything. He asked Gemini 3.1 to write a simulation of an ocean using 3.js.
For the listener who doesn't code, 3.js is a library used to create 3D graphics in a web browser. It's notoriously difficult because you have to understand lighting, camera angles, and physics. You aren't just drawing a picture, you are building a world.
Exactly. He didn't just ask for a static image of an ocean, he asked for a simulation. He wanted the code that makes the water move.
And that's the key distinction. Previous models like GPT-4, Claude, they operate on probability. They predict the next word in a sequence. If you ask them for physics code, they hallucinate, they guess the math. You end up with water that flows upwards or waves that look like static noise because the model doesn't actually know what water is.
But Gemini 3.1 nailed it. It wrote code that correctly calculated wave dynamics, buoyancy, and light refraction.
Which implies something profound. The model isn't just predicting text, it has built an internal world model. It understands on some level how water behaves physically. It's simulating the reality in its neural network before it writes the code for it.
And at Google DeepMind also showcased a city planner app built on this. You can see traffic patterns, infrastructure load. It feels like Google is really flexing its muscles on complexity.
Yeah.
Saying, sure, you can write a poem, but can you model a city?
But here's the friction point. I'm looking at this incredible ocean simulation, and then I'm looking at the reality of the developer experience right now. Because while the models are getting smarter, the tools we use to access them are falling apart.
You're talking about the backlash against Anthropic's Claude code.
It's brutal. Feo, who is a massive voice in the dev community, posted a review today that was effectively a eulogy for the tool. He called it regressing.
What's breaking?
Everything. The UI freezes, timestamps don't update. But the worst part is the hanging inference. He had a query run for 6 minutes. The AI was supposedly thinking, but it produced zero code. And here's the kicker. He was being billed for those tokens.
Wow, that is the nightmare scenario for the vibe coding feature we talked about earlier. If you are a vibe coder, and the AI hangs for 6 minutes. What do? You don't know how to fix the underlying JavaScript? You are helpless.
Exactly. It exposes the fragility of this new workflow. We are building our entire productivity stack on top of APIs that are unstable. At OpenAI, devs tried to drop a positive update about code blocks for split-screen editing, and the replies were just a wall of anger.
Mostly people complaining that Gemini 4 is being retired or nerfed, right?
It's feature fatigue. Developers don't want a new split-screen view. They want a model that doesn't disconnect in the middle of a job. We're in this weird valley where the AI is smart enough to simulate an ocean using complex physics, but the interface is too buggy to let you save the file.
So the infrastructure is shaky, but the generative capability is skyrocketing. And that brings us to the segment that honestly worries me the most. We've talked about coders and rocket scientists, but now we need to talk about the creatives.
The Pomeli update. This is the one that really hits home.
Yeah, this is from at Venture Twins and at Google Labs. They launched a feature called Photo Shoot.
This is the feature that effectively deletes the bottom 50% of the commercial photography market.
Look, here's how it works. You have a product, let's say a generic sneaker. You take one photo of it on your messy desk with your phone. You upload it to Pomeli. The AI analyzes the geometry and texture of the sneaker. Then you type sneaker on a wet pavement in Tokyo at night, neon lighting.
And it doesn't just cut and paste the sneaker, it relights it. It adds reflections of the neon signs on the wet leather. It generates the shadows perfectly. It looks like a $50,000 ad campaign.
Yeah, at Roundtable Space mentioned something similar with Google Anti-Gravity, which builds entire animated websites from a prompt. But the Pomeli example feels visceral because it's so indistinguishable from reality.
It's the commoditization of the eye. Photography used to be about lighting, composition, and gear. Now, those are just parameters in a prompt. If you're a small business owner, this is a miracle. You can compete with Nike on visuals for zero cost.
But if you are the photographer who spent 10 years mastering studio lighting,
You're the carriage driver watching the first Model T roll by, your skill just became a generate button. And it's not just the creative skills that are being automated, it's the destructive ones too.
right, this is the pivot to security. At Oliviscus, AI posted about pentag.
This one kept me up last night. This is serious.
For the audience, pen testing or penetration testing is when you hire good guy hackers to break into your system to find the holes. pentag is an automated open-source AI agent that does this.
But it's not just one bot. It's a swarm. It uses red teaming tactics. You have a manager agent that plans the attack and worker agents that execute the code injections or SQL exploits. They talk to each other. They share data. I found a door here. Okay, I'm going through it.
And this is fully autonomous.
Yes.
Right.
And it's open source. That means anyone can download it.
So let's look at the feedback loop here. We use tools like Pomeli and Anti-Gravity to instantly build a website. Then, a bad actor uses pentag to instantly hack that website.
It's an asymmetric arms race. We are lowering the barrier to entry for creation, but we're also lowering the barrier to entry for cyber warfare. If a teenager can deploy a swarm of AI agents to attack a local bank's server, does the bank have an AI defense swarm?
They're better.
This chaos, the unstable tools, the privacy risks, the automated hacking, it's driving a very specific counter-movement. We saw the post from @HassanTalkser about Open Home.
The Alexa killer?
That's pitch. It's a smart speaker, but it runs entirely locally. No cloud, no Amazon listening to your kitchen conversations, no Google data harvesting. It's powered by a Raspberry Pi and local open source models.
It feels like the digital equivalent of prepsters. People disconnecting from the grid to stay safe.
It is. It's a noble effort to reclaim privacy, but we have to be realistic about the trade-off. Can a Raspberry Pi running a compressed model really compete with Gemini 3.1 Pro running on a Google supercluster?
Probably not. You get privacy, but you lose the God mode intelligence.
That's the choice. You can have the superintelligence that simulates oceans and runs your business, but you give up your data and your sovereignty. Or you can keep your data, but you're using a calculator while everyone else is using a supercomputer.
That is a stark divide.
Yeah.
We have Musk owning the bandwidth, Google owning the physics engine, and automated agents fighting wars in the background.
It's a lot to process for a Friday.
So looking at this deep dive, the ocean sim, the Zimbabwe monopoly, the ASI timeline, what is your prediction for tomorrow? What happens next?
My prediction is legal, not technical. I'm looking at those Pomeli photos again. The quality is too high. The lighting, the textures, the AI learned that from somewhere. It learned it by scraping millions of copyrighted professional photos.
You think the bill is coming due?
I think the stock photography market is about to collapse and the lawsuits are going to fly. I predict a major injunction or lawsuit from a giant like Getty Images or Shutterstock within the next 24 to 48 hours. They have to sue now or their entire business model evaporates.
The battle for the rights to reality.
Exactly. If Google can generate reality for free, selling photos of reality is a dead business.
Well, on that cheerful note, keep your vibes coded and your bandwidth local.
And good luck competing with the superintelligence.
See you tomorrow.